And we're back on. How we doing, guys? Chris here. Welcome back to my channel. Back on Bicycle. And he's running. So since you last seen me on him, he's had a new battery put in, and we've also stripped all the front end down and done the electrics on him. That's very kind of you. I don't think you actually let me through, but there we go. Oh. Yeah, so here we are, guys. We're back on the road with Bicycle, and I've got to say, he's running very swish, very much like a brand new bike again, even though he's got 25,000 miles on. So today I did actually have a plan to come on a bike ride with one of my friends, but he's pulled out on me. Not in that way. Yeah, no, he cried off this morning, so I'm going solo. But you know, some point soon we'll be going out and having a little ride out together. He's only just got himself a little bike recently. He's got a Kimco bike, a 125. It's really nice, actually. Like, I don't know that much about bikes or anything, or certainly like Kimco. I've heard the brand, but I don't know much about it. Hi Dave. That's actually Dave as well. Yeah, it looks really smart. Like I say, I think the brand is owned by Kawasaki, if I heard right. But yeah, I was really impressed. It looks really nice styling wise. How good the quality is of the build, I don't know, but there we go. So guys, I've decided I'm coming on for a ride. I'm doing it. I'm not riding for the sake of going somewhere like I normally am. I've actually just come out for a little ride. It's like, let's just go and enjoy being on the bike and do some country lanes and stuff. We're now just entering Little Crosby. We've just left Big Crosby. And you'll see how quickly we come into countryside from where I live. It's a little bit of a misconception about Liverpool, but it's actually a shithole, because you know we are technically still in Liverpool here, and as you can see, we get little really nice quaint villages like this. So you know, it's not all boarded up houses and shithole parts of the city. We've got a few of them as well, like, but there's also nice stuff out here. Whoa. So yeah, it's a nice sunny day. Got my tunes on. Got a random selection of stuff. Just listening to No Doubt at the moment. And I'm going to take you on a little trip down the country lanes. We're heading direction wise towards Southport. Are you crossing? Dum, 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 dum. Come on. Yeah, so like I said, we're coming through Little Crosby now, and we're going to head onto the dual carriageway in a moment, go round by Formby, and then we're going to go up to Southport. Boom, 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 I'm just a girl. This is what it's about, eh guys? Nice open roads. See, look, I can do the motorbike thing, like, you know, where you ride a bit quick and go in corners and stuff like that. I just don't normally bother. But sod it, I'm getting right involved here. Look, I'm even nearly doing 50 mile an hour. I think the speed limit's actually 60 on this road, but you know, 50 is good enough for me. Let's not push the boat out too much. You just don't know what's around the corners and that. There we go. Yeah, so anyway, it was going to be a good little welcome back to the channel with a little special guest, but alcohol won, so he was too levered last night, and obviously he probably would have been over the limit today. So if anyone's not familiar with this area, guys, we're just coming through into the Hightown bends, which leads into the little village of Hightown. These roads are quite famous. It's basically like a racetrack for motorbikes. Lots of nice bendy roads and such for people to go on. Lifter, shapeshifter, so one thing I was actually going to have a chat about was why I'm on a 125. It's a fun one, really. It's not straightforward. So I actually got my first ever two-wheel scooter. Wasn't a motorbike back then, it was a scooter what I started on when I was 16 years old, 1998. It's a lifetime ago, and I loved it. It was great. I then passed my driving test and got myself a Volkswagen Golf, and at that point in time, you know, when you're in college and all your mates don't drive and you do, you kind of just become like a taxi for everyone. So, you know, I didn't mind. I'd do loads of driving around and stuff and picking people up, and, you know, the bike sort of fell to the side a little bit. Now, eventually I sold that little scooter and I didn't get anything else till around 2010. 2012, sorry. It was my 30th birthday, 2012. And I thought to myself, do you know what? I'm having like a pre-midlife crisis here. Maybe I should get myself a motorbike. And I started doing my lessons and such, you know, and I was alright with it because I'd had a bike anyway. I knew the basics of the road I had under control. I'd been driving a car at this point for like 10 years, near enough, whatever it was, 8 years. And you know, I'd had about 2 years worth of scooter usage on the road as well, so you know, I was fairly confident. I did my theory test, got that passed. Then I did my mod 1 test and I got that passed. And then came to doing the mod 2, and essentially I got followed by a guy on the test, the examiner, who, as I believe, didn't ride motorbikes. Now, whether he could ride a motorbike, I don't know. It makes sense if he could, because, you know, to be an examiner for a motorbike, you need to be able to ride one. Who knows? But anyway, he was following me in a car, this guy, which put me off a little bit to begin with. It was a bit strange because, like, you know, you're expecting a bike behind you, and it was just a car. And he had the intercom system, so, you know, he was talking to me, and we're driving along just normal roads. You know, I'm being stupidly over the top careful. I mean, I'm a slow rider anyway, as you probably gather, but it was even more so. You know, I was being very careful, checking my speeds and checking everything, doing all my mirror checks, you know, like, oh, you know, the over the top dramatic mirror checks and such. And he comes on the intercom and says to me, just keep an eye on your speed. So I looked down, doing 30 mile an hour, and I was like, I think I'm in a 30 here. You know, it was a main road. This is in St. Helens. And so I'm like, yeah, I'm doing 30. And then about a mile up the road, he comes back on again. Keep an eye on your speed. So I look down again, 30 mile an hour. So I get to a set of traffic lights, and I actually turn around to the guy, you know, and like shrug my shoulders, like, I don't know what you mean. I was like, I don't get what you're saying, really. Carried on, got the test finished. You know, that was basically the only real problem I had on the test. There was one roundabout which I think I might have picked the wrong lane for, but you know, nothing dramatic. I was just in the wrong way for where he had asked me to go to, but I don't think you fail for that anyway. That wasn't actually on the thing. So when I got back, he said, you know, unfortunately this time you've been unsuccessful. I was like, all right, okay. I just said, you know, what did I do wrong? And he said, well, you were speeding throughout the whole test. I was like, right. I said, yeah, about that. Actually, you know, you came on the intercom and said I was speeding. I said, I looked down and I'm doing 30 mile an hour. He said, well, you were doing 34 mile an hour. He said, I said, well, I looked down, mine said 30. And these were the words he said, verbatim. It's not down to me to make sure your bike is calibrated for test conditions. Word for word, that's how he said it. And then he said, I'm in a car, I've got a digital speedometer, so I know that's accurate because it's calibrated, which apparently was a load of shite, but that's what he told me. So I just went, okay, not a problem. Now when I come out, Eddie, the guy who took me up there, the instructor, said, how did you get on? I said, well, I've just failed it for speeding. And he went, you speeding? He said, friggin' hell, I've just spent the last like 3 months telling you to speed up. And I said, I know. I said, I was looking at my speedo when he said it, and you know, it said 30 mile an hour on it, but he said, you know, I told him the thing about it not being calibrated for test conditions, and he just flew off it. He just went off on one. What the effing hell is he going on about? Is this calibrated? The cheeky bastard, he's in a hire car, it's not even his own car. Rah, 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 rage, 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 blah, blah, blah. And I said, don't worry about it, it's done. So anyway, we get back to where I was doing my lessons with the guys, and the guy who owns the place, Alex, said, how'd you get on? I said, failed it. And Eddie turned around, he said, have a guess who it was he got. And he named this guy, I'm not going to name him, and he went, bastard's done it again. So this fella had a bit of a reputation. Anyway, they were saying, listen, we're going to put a complaint in, we're going to get this overturned, we'll get you a fresh test. This guy keeps doing this to people, he's well known for it. And I said, well, I'm moving to Germany in 2 days, so I kind of didn't really get a chance. Everything I'd done up to that point obviously just expired. So I mean, I've got to be honest, it was my word against his. I'm adamant. I looked down, I was doing 30 mile an hour, he claims I was doing 34. It's done, water under the bridge. I'm not grumbling about it, it's not nothing me being bitter or anything, but yeah, I obviously then got back to the UK, and a couple of years later everything has expired, and I kind of just got back on with the car thing. And it was then only a couple of years ago when I needed to get some insurance for a car, and the cheapest quote I could get was £2,500. I was like, well, yikes, I'm not getting that. So I ended up selling the car and got myself a little scooter, went to the CBT. Same guys who, you know, I'd been going to, Almax Motors up in McGull, if anyone knows them, say hello. Yeah, and then from there I actually bought a little scooter off them. It was great, a little 50cc. It was one of their old instructor bikes, or you know, what they go out on, and it was brilliant. It had all Almax written on the side of it, everything. It was like the most garishly bright bike. I think I've got a photograph of it somewhere, so I will try and put it in with this video to show you how ridiculously garish this bike looked. Unfortunately, some little bagheads robbed it. My own fault, I didn't lock it up, I just left it with the keys in outside the pub. I'd gone in a pub to go and see my mates, and I come out thinking, who would want to rob that? And I was obviously mistaken that no one would rob it, because it did get robbed. Anyway, it kind of worked out as a blessing in disguise, really. I'd only paid £100 for it, so I wasn't even bothered, really. And then I came across Bikel here, young Bikel. He was up for sale in the city centre, and he was in a bit of a bad way at the time. He'd been used for deliveries, so he had really high mileage. Funny enough, I should have really gone to this at the time. The battery was completely flat, so when I actually went round to check him out, he didn't even run. I'm like, it's not really a good advert for selling a bike. You know, come to try it out, and it doesn't even work. I was like, what am I buying here? But I got a good friend of mine, Roy. He came and had a look with me and checked over him, and he said, yeah, you know, needs a new chain, needs a few bits and pieces, but apart from that, you'll be all right with them. So we've got a really good price off the guy Dominic. Hello Dominic, if you're out there, man. I've still got him. You know, I bought him, did a load of work on him, and got him looking boss. But yeah, that battery, I should have really thought about that at the time. I didn't think anything of it. It obviously must have been having problems all the way back then. And intermittently I've had issues with the bike, and it's always been to do with the battery. You know, needing to give it a charge up here and there, and it cutting out. So there we go. Now I know. If it happens again, I'll know what it is. Yeah, so there you go. So it all turned out good in the end. I got Bicycle. I've done my theory test, I think, about 5 times and passed it 5 times. I actually did it this time last year, so I've got a year now to get the test out the way, and I'm thinking late this summer I'm going to start again and do my lessons. Now here's the thing, if I didn't enjoy Bicycle so much, I probably would have done my lessons and got the test out the way again, but I've enjoyed him so much that he's actually put me off getting a bigger bike, because I don't really see the point. You know, look at this. Alright, okay, I'm not going mega distance here, but I'm coming out up into the countryside, you know, 40 minutes out, doing the speed limit all the way along. What else do I need? Alright, I can't go on the motorway. That's the only thing I've struggled with is when I went to Glastonbury on him, and I will admit it was a challenge. You know, carrying all my gear and everything, that was a challenge on him. But apart from that, he's absolutely solid. He's just brilliant. You know, even the issues I've had with him, it's nothing to do with the way it's been manufactured. They're not manufacturing faults I've had problems with. One's the battery, which, you know, let's be honest, batteries don't last forever anyways. And the other one was because some beaut had decided to put the heated handlebar grips onto the headlamps, spliced all the wires together, and then just put a load of Aleki tape around it. It was an abomination. I should have actually videoed that so I could show you just how bad it was. You know, this is all what, when I was showing you the video last week of him where he's in bits, that's what we were putting right, is all of that sort of stuff. My friend Bobby, who looked after him for me, give him a little shout out as well, giving everyone shout outs today. Bobby, he's a bit of a legend. He did that for his own bat, you know. He just said, I'll come round and fix them for you. He wouldn't take payments. He was just like, no, I'm just doing it for you, don't worry about it. Really nice guy. That's what we love. People just look out for everyone around here. Yeah, so I've got him a few beers to say thank you anyway. But yeah, you know, he was just like, no man, I'll fix them for you, we'll get them up and running. Now the wonderful thing about Bobby is he actually designs aircraft for a living, so he knows what he's doing. We'll give him a load of stick and abuse because it's funny too, and that's what we do to each other around here. But the reality is he's a very smart guy, and he's yeah, all of the little issues and niggles which were in there have been sorted out. So here we go, we're back on the road with Bicycle, and we're now just coming through towards Southport, guys. Don't know whether you know Southport at all. If you don't, I'll just give you a quick explanation. It's a little coastal resort further down the coast from Blackpool, which is obviously the major one everyone knows. Southport's kind of like a mini Blackpool. We've got a fairground here. I think this is a Pontons just up ahead. Sand dunes over here on the left. We've got the coastline just on the left hand side. I'm just running parallel with the coast here now. So where I live on Crosby's about 8 miles that way down the coast, maybe a bit more. During the Victorian times, Southport was like a holiday destination for the Victorians. They'd get the train up here and spend the weekend and just chilling out along the promenade, and you know, it's just getting out of the city life where people were, you know, living on top of each other, they'd escape here for the weekend and come and have a relax on the sea. It's fell through harder times recently. You can see the Sands pub's gone. You know, that was once a really well-known pub. I think places like that suffer a lot now because of the drink driving laws. You know, in the 70s you could drive out there, have a couple of pints and drive home. It's not happening anymore now. So, you know, these remoter places like that are suffering unless they convert to become food houses. If they just stay wet houses, which is just beer only, they're not lasting, which is a shame really, but that's how the industry is going. Yeah, Southport itself, again, you know, I've done work up here. It's not as grand as it once was. It is looking for a bit of investment. Now that we've come out of Europe, you would hope that people would come back to these sorts of places. You know, we've had the package holidays to Spain for the last 40, 50 years now. And that's basically put a dent in these seaside towns. Well, guys, I didn't vote to leave Europe. I voted to remain. I'm just putting the cards on the table there. You know, I did that because I liked the free movement around Europe, and you know, I haven't got an issue with anyone who wants to come and work and do whatever. That's just how I am. I know people have got their own issues, so friggin' hell. Hello, duckies. Oh, I hope they're safe. Anyway, I just think if you guys have voted for getting out of Europe, then really right now you should be supporting our local resorts like this, and come and put your money back into these towns, and you wanted Britain to be great again, well, make it great. It's down to everyone now. We've got to do our little bit. You know, I'm coming up here now, I'm going to have a little cup of tea. It's not much, but you know, it's throwing a couple of quid into the place. There's actually a little vegetarian cafe I got told about, which I'm going to go and try and find and have a cup of tea up there. But yeah, you know, I just think now, if you want Britain to become what it was, then this is where we start. Start at home, helping each other out. You know, I was very vocal about Brexit, but it's done now. We just get on with it and we make the most of it, and let's move forward. So anyway, that little rant's finished. Let's carry on with the journey. So in about a quarter of a mile, I think, we'll be coming off this little stretch and heading into Southport itself. I think my mum and dad are up here at the moment. Actually, they come to the gym up here. Bit of love off the motorbike, it's what we like. It's a nice sunny day. Okay, I believe you. Jump in the line, anybody in time. Okay, jump in line, anybody in time. Bit of Harry Belafonte. 2013, Jimmy Saville had just died, and at this point in time he was still considered a national hero. This is a year before all of the allegations came forward. There's always been rumours, but you know, he was still a national hero at this point, and he was mourned as such. 4 days after he died was Halloween, and I went dressed in fancy dress as Jimmy Saville for Halloween. Which got me some funny looks, as you would imagine, because you know, this was like a childhood hero for most people. I've got to be honest, I was thinking like, whoa, I'm pushing it a little bit here. And I ended up in a nightclub in Liverpool called the Crazy House, dressed as Jimmy Saville, with about 200 people behind me doing a conga line to Jump in the Line by Harry Belafonte. Pretty surreal, but pretty funny. Anybody in time? Okay, I believe you. Just over there in the distance, guys, if you can see on the left, is Blackpool Tower and the big one rise. So that's obviously further up the coast. We can't go in a straight line over to it. If I was to go to Blackpool now, I would have to go back inland towards Preston way and then follow the coast out because of the way the water cuts in. So yeah, we are actually relatively close in terms of mileage as the crow flies, but in terms of getting there, it would take me about another hour. So we're not doing that today. Here we are, guys, we're coming into Southport. This is Southport Fair on the little love off the bike up. This is Southport Fair. Just here on the right hand side. This is where I used to come as a kid. This is, you know, come for a day out to Southport Fair. As you can tell, it's looking a bit dated. I think they have put a bit of money into it, but it is looking a bit untidy these days, not gonna lie. Doesn't look like it's reopened. Yeah, here we go. So I'm just coming along here. I'm gonna turn into the main town centre in a sec. Yeah, hidey, 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 hi, hidey, 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 hi. Minnie the Moocher now. I don't know why I've got this on my soundtrack, but it's on there. Just some random like 1930s tunes on the go. So this promenade runs all the way along onto the end of the beach and then into the town centre. It's got a little train that runs along it. I think you can, like a little sit-on train, you can ride along if I remember right. Hey, hi, hi, oh shit, I know. Knocked myself out of gear there. So here we are, guys. Little wander around the main streets of Southport for you. Oh, that's it. Let's do this. Now we get a load of bikers. See this Funland here on the right hand side? Just in front of this, there might be a load of bikers here. Now it's a kind of a meeting point for bikes. So I might even pull in, have a cup of tea here, come and say hello to everyone. See who's here. If there's anyone here, it might just be me. There's a couple there. When I did my CBT last time, I mean, you know, officially I did my CBT, but it was, you've been riding a bike for the best part of 20 years, so I really need to tell you how to put a bike helmet on. Considering, you know, I'd actually just driven there on a 125 to do my CBT. It's kind of like, it's a formality. Obviously, I did it as a full CBT, but yeah, we ended up just coming up here and having a cup of tea. Sit on some chips. It was just a little ride out, basically. Following the guidelines of the CBT, of course. Let's see what we got going on. There's a few bikes out. I'm going to have a little cup of tea here and pull up and have a little wander around the bikes. Dun, 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 dun. The backbeat, the word on the street, that the fire in your heart is on. Oh, go on. You heard it before, but you never had any doubt. I don't believe in anybody feels the way I do about you. Some nuts tunes going on here today, guys. Alright, so here we go. So I forget I'm on the pavement here, so I've got to walk it. Ba, 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 ba. There are many things that but I don't know how. You're gonna be the one that saves me. Some nice gear here today, guys. Oh, I like that thing. I don't know what that is. And after all, you're my wonderful. What's this thing? Dillygaff? It's a Harley. Oh my god, I feel repulsed for them actually liking a Harley Davidson. That's actually really nice, I've got to be honest. Love it. Right, anyway, gonna give Michael a little relax now, guys, and then have a cup of tea. I'll speak to you in a bit.